My name's Luke Rhodes, Director of Zen Architects. Today I'm presenting our Fern Street Children's Centre. So we're located in Black Rock, Bunurong country. We're east of Half Moon Bay and adjacent tennis court and golf course in a predominantly residential zone. Pre-existing conditions at F.G Tricks Reserve held a children's centre, a kindergarten and a scout hall, all in separate buildings across the northern end of the park. The remaining was public parkland. The intent for the project was to combine the original functions on the site into a single new exemplar facility. By the time we were engaged for the project, the site was cleared of the original buildings and an arborist assessment had been completed. There were 2 dead trees found in that arborist assessment, which we intended to be the only vegetation removed from the site to make way for the new facility. Through intensive site work and brief consolidation, we devised a sweeping curve that accommodated all of the existing vegetation on the site and predominantly utilised the existing building footprints, whilst also managing area removed from the park against area given back to the park. So we can see this building over here, that was given back to the park, that area, but we took, you'll see in later slides, some of this area from the park. Through community surveys of local kindergartens, we were able to establish that the majority of children attending the centre would be within walking distance and predominantly coming from the south. That was at odds with the main frontage being from the north on Fern Street. We separated the program into 2, dividing 2 kinder rooms on the eastern side and community and child maternal and health on the western side. This was to create a pathway through the building from front to back, or as we saw it, from front to front. We proposed a rearrangement of the on-street parking and a diversion of the footpath to bring it closer to the building to avoid tree removal. This design was accepted and worked up to a town planning level. Then, sadly, our client backflipped and required parking to be on site. They also did not want to incur additional cost or time delays and were forced to slide the designed building around on the site as best we could to accommodate car parking. This meant that we lost an additional 7 trees for the car park and another 2 for the building repositioning. This was a devastating outcome. As a small consolation, we were able to keep it to low to moderate retention trees that were removed, no significant or high retention. The resultant floor plan balances a variety of indoor, covered outdoor and external play spaces and communal and educational functions with a connection back to the park. The entry has been centrally and very deliberately located between a red flowering gum and a spotted gum, which form a natural threshold where the parents can gather, dropping off their children to the kinder, and where the natural and built environments begin a dialogue that is continued throughout the building. The colours and composition of the trees are mirrored by a series of slender steel and timber columns and rafters supporting a sheltered outdoor area, which draws navigation in and through. A uniform material treatment of rough sawn timber continues upwards from the deck to clad the facade and in vertical striations that mimic the linear qualities of the surrounding trees. This envelopes every facet of the exterior of the building down to the outdoor seating, giving a legibility between the different zones whilst also establishing a visual cohesion. We sought to cultivate a civic space that nurtures relationships between humans and their natural environment, whilst instilling joy and sensory engagement during the early education years, which are often a child's first experience of place outside of their home. A design language has been devised to connect the children to the natural environment. Subtle zoning and variations between soaring and more intimate volumes shape different atmospheres to use and to ensure that the children have a diversity of spaces to foster emotional regulation, quiet time, solo and group play, and inquiry. Unique to each room, deliberate window placements high in the junctures between ceilings and walls and low-lying apertures ensure seasonal changes, weather, times of the day are marked in the play of light and its constant march, subconsciously connecting the children to what is occurring outdoors. Above, rectangular rooms oriented according to passive solar principles. Geometric folds of the roof plane create voids, frame tree canopies, and orchestrate different acoustic levels and coax natural light. Just as the exterior palette nods to the bark of the gums, interior colours are inspired by the tonal soft greens and terracottas and peaches that sit just below the bark surface. Through the lens of sustainability, we started from the ground up. It was led by the architecture. There was no budget for ESD consultants or engineers applying band-aid solutions over preconceived ideas. Due to the tree root zones and tricky soil conditions, a fully lightweight structure rests gently on the earth. The elevated subfloor providing opportunity for 15,000 litres of rainwater storage. 140mm timber framed walls and trussed and pitched roofs complete the structure, all in certified solid and LVL pine framing. All external timber finishes are radially sawn to ensure minimal wastage. The minimal steel framing within the building envelope is pushed to the outside and wrapped and isolated. Air tightness measures required heavy engagement on site with the contractor. We achieved well under the targeted 5 air changes per hour, a feat which the blower door consultant had not seen in his lifetime of testing buildings of this type. Orientation is north to south on each room. Windows are high performance timber window frames, double glazed, low E coat, appropriate shading. Solar panels line the roof, carefully placed to avoid overshadowing. The building is all electric. Materials followed a strict order of precedence: locally sourced, low toxicity, recycled or at very least recyclable, compliance and budget. Nestled within the native botanical context of F.G Tricks Reserve, Fern Street Children's Centre mediates between civic and educational sentiments to emerge as a considered architectural response to the natural elements, while seamlessly forging connections with the surrounding community. This approach changes the formality of the building and the way that we traditionally think about kindergartens and community centres, breaking down inhibitions and acting as a precedent for our future civic projects within sensitive environments.